Good afternoon from New York. I am Selwyn Collins, your host of CWS As It Is. Welcome to another edition of Guyanese Youth in Business. But before I get started, this afternoon is a little bit solemn for me. I just learned that a very good childhood friend of mine passed away in the past few days. And I'm just hoping that I can suppress the memories that we shared together as friends, both as children and as adults, so that I can continue this show. But it's a very sad moment for me. Anyway, as they always say, that the show must continue. Welcome to part five of the five-part series of Guyanese Youth in Business. As I often say, that it is indeed a privilege for me actually to sit here on a Sunday afternoon in front of these young, brilliant minds and to listen to them share their vision and share their entrepreneurial endeavors and businesses with us. And I like to ask people to imagine a movement of self-sufficiency among young people in any nation, but especially Guyana. Imagine what that would mean to our nation, where young people are gainfully employed, not necessarily waiting for jobs that might not necessarily not materialize, but finding a way to employ themselves. Well, this afternoon we have five amazing young people. We are going to begin with this young lady that is sitting next to me on the other side of the screen, smiling so sweetly, attorney at law, Ayana McCalman. Ayana, good afternoon and welcome to CWS As It Is.
Good afternoon, Selwyn. Thank you so much. And first of all, my condolences on the passing of your friend.
Thank you. Thank you. Ayana, tell us a little bit about you.
Okay, so about Ayana, well, probably people be interested to know that my name, Ayana, is an Ethiopian girl's name, and it means beautiful flower. So I absolutely love my name. But a little bit more about me. I grew up in Buxton. I was born there and raised there. I'm a very proud Buxtonian. And I like to say I'm a global citizen because I've been fortunate to have the opportunity to travel both near and far. And the reason I'm here, of course, is because I'm an attorney at law and I'm the founder of a growing firm called McCalman and Company Legal Services.
Awesome. How and when did you start this firm?
I started in September 7th, actually. September 7th, 2014. I had just come back from a stint working in South Africa. I was there for 18 months doing communications and justice advocacy with the United Congregational Church of South Africa. And the time had come. I actually wanted to stay in South Africa, but God said, no, it's time. You've learned what you needed to learn for the next step. And it's time for you to go home. So I came back home with this vision for Law That Heals and came home on the 24th of August, 2014, and spent about a week recovering and, of course, eating some good bacon saltfish. And,
you had to mention that.
Cheesecake from Oasis, so big up to Oasis Cafe. Had cheesecake because I hadn't had their cheesecake in 18 months. And on the 7th of September, I decided, okay, I'd had enough sleep and liming time and gaffing time. It was time to get to work and reopened my practice and started McCalman and Company.
How has it been since you opened?
Oh, wow. It's been an exciting, challenging, but absolutely fun journey. I'm 10 years into practice. This will be 2016 will be year 11 for me. But I like to say to folks now, so I've been 10 years as a legal practitioner, but when it comes to building a firm and building a business, I'm a newbie. So I'm just 2 years old in that journey, and it's been fun, exciting, but of course challenging.
We are curious. What are some of your early challenges when you first started? What are some challenges that you had and how you overcome some of them?
I think for me, one of the biggest challenges was the technology. Um, so I had spent, I had I had visited South Africa before I moved there, but I lived in South Africa. One of the things a lot of people probably are surprised to know or don't know is that South Africa is actually quite developed. So I had come home from, being able to there, I think on either 2G or 3G at the moment, and possibly going to 4G in a couple of years. And I had come home with this expectation, the internet would be running. So when, I put on my Skype or whatever else, it will just download. And of course, that was one of the earlier challenges. And because quite a number of my clients are abroad, I mean, not having good quality internet became a real business challenge for me. Um, and then I think one of the things I always mention, living outside of Guyana for a significant period of time gave me an opportunity to reflect on Guyana. And one of the things I had to acknowledge and realize, unfortunately, is that we're problem generating. We do that a lot. So, and I'm a solutions oriented person. So coming back into a culture that focuses, unfortunately, a lot on the problems and the complaints, I then had to retrain myself to focus on the solutions and not get caught up in, the blame, the excuses of what wasn't being done so that I could focus on getting things done for my clients. So, I couldn't complain that, oh, the court system is slow or that, the registry isn't going fast enough. I just simply had to find a solution. So those are some of the challenges. I think, dealing with the legal system and the fact that we are a bit slow at the moment, and dealing with the technology issues that when you're in a modern business, you need the technology to work and not just work, but to work well.
So tell us about when a client is demanding and needs something yesterday, but you are confined by the system. How do you go? How do you go about this? Tell us some of your art of war strategies.
Oh, I absolutely love Sanchu Art of War. Um, so first of all, I'm very gracious about it. I like to call my consultation sessions clarity sessions because the hope is that, the clients will come in with their issues and their problems. And our goal at McCalman and Company is to ensure that they may come in feeling a bit confused and overwhelmed by the problem, but that at the end of the hour that we give them, that they're able to leave with much more clarity. So there are three things I usually say to clients right up front at the beginning. This is what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about what we're going to do for you legally, how long it's going to take, and how much it's going to cost. And I have found being upfront and being open and honest with the clients right from the beginning in terms of the budget of the time and the money that they need to spend dealing with their legal matter kind of helps to limit the frustration they will feel as well as how demanding they may desire to be, because I'm open and upfront and saying, look, our legal system works, but it has its challenges. So if, for example, we know something is supposed to take 3 days, my little trick, and I'm probably letting the secret out of the bag, I will usually say, and I will say it openly, I do think that we should budget for additional time. So we know that this probably should take 3 days, but I would advise that we actually budget for a time of 5 days. So what I do is already prepare them. So we're not telling them, oh, don't worry, we'll get it done in one. And then on day 2, when we don't get it done, they're complaining, but Ms. McCalman said it was going to be done in 1 day. So it's actually something I've had to learn in business, is that I really need to learn how to basically under promise and over deliver. So that's my art of war strategy.
Under promise and over deliver.
And over deliver. But it's also about being honest with the clients. I think that really is my strategy, to be very open and honest.
So tell us how did your friends, well, mostly your family, reacted to your decision to get into business for yourself?
Well, my friends, I'm learning that my friends really recognize that I'm courageous. So I kind of always knew that I had courage, but the longer I'm 33, turning 34 this year, and the longer I live, I'm realizing I have a little bit more courage than I thought. So for them, I don't think they were surprised. My friends weren't surprised. My mother certainly wasn't surprised that I was going to launch out on my own. So courage is my watchword. So I think they were all like, "Oh yeah, yeah, this is definitely yeah. She would do that."
After being in business for a bit, how are you convinced that you're cut out to be self-employed?
Because of what I just said, I think I'm convinced for it because of two reasons. One, because of my own propensity for courage as part of my character. And the other reason is I have a vision and a passion for what I'm doing that is God given. So my big why is when I started the firm because I saw something that was missing. I have a passion for healing. And my big vision is law that heals. I wanted to practice law as a healing profession. I wasn't seeing the opportunity to do that. I had been searching to do it for 10 years, and I had actually said to God, I really love this profession. This is the gift that you've given me. And I really don't want to quit, but if I don't find a concept, I probably will quit. I'm a bit tenacious with God sometimes. so, so in the process of coming home, I discovered this concept. I do what you do when you have, a big idea in this time and age. You Google it. So I Googled law as a healing profession because that's what I had been interested in, and found a whole host of resources around integrative law and a movement that had been building. And I really connected with that. It gave me the language that I'd been searching for.
Mm-hmm.
So what keeps me in business is just my own sense of courage. And like I said, I have this God-given purpose that what I am doing is what I am called to do. It's
And
not just what.
how critical is having the right language, the right vocabulary?
Um, well, I'm not sure how having the right language because I tend to be a bit of a perfectionist. Well, my friends listening to this might go a bit, but so I think you could get caught up with looking for the right language. But to me, the focus is just really staying open and learning. Whatever your craft is, so whether it's law, science, business, whatever it is staying open, being willing to learn, and you will find the language. And it's over time that you will find the language that fits. Because if you wait, I probably could have done this 5 years ago or 6 years ago, but I also believe in divine timing. So to bring it back to what you're asking, I think I would encourage, young entrepreneurs listening, whether in business or thinking of starting a business, don't wait on the right language. Just keep searching basically until you find it.
No, what I meant, Ayana, you mentioned just now that you got the right language in that type of law, healing,
Yeah.
and so I was asking you in that context, how important is the right language?
In that context, I think it's important because it's important for you. I think it's connected to a lot of what we've heard before about finding your purpose, and finding your place. So, right language in that sense to me means finding your purpose
Finding your purpose.
because, yeah, and connecting to it in a real way. Because otherwise, you could. I love law, but there was something that wasn't gelling early on in the profession. And like I said, I actually considered many times quitting. Part of the reason why I went to South Africa, people were like, I had already opened my practice in 2010. Like, why would she take off in the middle of it? But I took off because I had told God I wanted some space and time to really discover what is it that I was here to do and what is it that I was going to contribute. And I think in that context, right language means it's really important that you spend the time finding that because that's what's going to give you the energy, the motivation when things do start to go crazy. Because don't let anybody fool you in business. It's not all teaching at the end of the week or at the end of the month. There are days of, serious work and serious challenge and serious struggle. So right language, your big why, your purpose, whatever you want to call it, that's what's going to keep you focused.
Where do you see McCalman and Company in 10 years?
Oh,
I see that big
wow.
smile there. Yeah, you probably were waiting for this question. Go ahead.
Ooh, I'm plotting to take over the world. McCalman and Company in 10 years. I really would like there about two areas that I want to expand into. I've just actually become a licensed intellectual property law agent. So in 10 years, definitely McCalman and Company would be one of the leading firms in terms of particularly working with creatives who want to protect their work and their creative output that they're giving to the world, because we know copywriting is a big issue in Guyana. So I definitely want McCalman and Company to be one of the firms that is working in that area. I also have a big passion for advocacy, and not advocacy simply fighting for a cause, but essentially action-oriented advocacy that brings about real change. And I would really want the firm, while we're very focused now, of course, on providing legal services, I really would want us to grow and expand in that area and become one of the firms in Guyana that people identify with IPL, as I said, intellectual property law, and also this commitment to seeing change. Because one of the goals I've set for the firm is that we will actually work with entrepreneurs who are desiring to make Guyana a better place, make Guyana and the world a better place to live. I have many other plans, but we have limited time.
Right, of course. So, okay, so you mentioned, and most entrepreneurs will tell you this, that business isn't all it cracked up to be. I mean, it's not, everything is not always great and so on. There are the lumps and bumps and the challenges, the ups and downs and so on. But then there are the good times. They're the moments, or else nobody would get into business. Let me see if I can go to your first major client and your first major check, when you got your check for your work, your hard work. What was that like? Take us to that moment.
Oh my gosh. I have quite a few of them, but there's one in particular I'm remembering, and that's why I'm smiling so much. I felt completely satisfied. It felt satisfying and rewarding. Satisfying because the client was happy and satisfied. And actually, before the check, I think that's where I get my zing. A friend and I don't know if she's listening, but if Tracy's listening, we call it the donkey cart zing, because we have a whole story about how we came up with the zing. But the donkey cart zing is not really like that zing that you feel like yes. And for me, the yes is when the client was really satisfied with the work that I've done. And of course, seeing the check, I was like, what? I made this much money? making somebody else's life happy and solving their problems. So now I absolutely love legal problem solving. I tell people that's what I get to do every day. I get to help people solve their legal problems, so they can take a little bit of the stress and the overwhelm away. So it's definitely thumbs up.
Ayana, I don't want this moment to pass without me commenting on what you just said. You're not just going to slip by us like that. This donkey cart thing, am I to understand you and your friend Tracy used to hop and skip behind those donkey carts and jump on? Is that what it is? That's exactly what it is, Ayana.
Well, okay. I have a passion for
Ayana. Today's Sunday. You have to tell the truth. That's exactly what it is, right? You guys used to in your school uniform.
Well, no. My friend Tracy, I'm referring to, is Tracy Douglas, who is an amazing artist. She and her husband Warren are the owners of Pandama Wine. So Tracy and I were talking one day, and I have a passion for travel and tours, and so we were talking about this idea of a donkey cart tour, and I got really excited. Like, I was talking about other stuff, some of the legal stuff that wasn't so exciting. But when we started talking about this idea for this donkey cart tour in Guyana, so I got like super excited and my face lit up. And she was like, that is what you have to apply to everything you do. Like, the things that you need to be focusing your energy on are the things that give you the donkey cart zing. So I call it my donkey cart zing moment. So anytime I have this conversation, Definitely donkey cart zing. So anytime I'm getting an opportunity to do something or to share something, and I could feel like that zing in my heart gets a little bit more open, and I start smiling a little bit more. I usually follow that. And the ones that that I kind of go, I do. You do. I read somewhere from Oprah, and she says, "Doubt means don't move." So those are the ones like, I take a moment, I stop, I pray, and I ask for guidance, and I ask God, show me
So,
what I need to
so
know
tell us a little bit about how does one find you?
how do you find me if you want to do business with me?
Yes.
So I'm on Facebook. McCalman and Company is on Facebook. If you type in the URL Law That Heals in Facebook, you will find us. We're not set up with our website as yet, but that's coming. My email address, of course, you can always get me by email. It's maclegal. That's MacLegalgy at gmail.com. So you can also message me on Facebook, and I'll connect
Okay.
you through. Yeah.
MacLegalGY
At
at
gmail.com.
gmail.com.
And I'm on Facebook at Law That Heals.
How can the government or private sector help to take your business to the next level?
Uh, I think, how can the private sector help? I think I think it's just giving us the necessary, not just me, but young entrepreneurs, just giving us the infrastructure and the support that we need. In terms of, like I said, the technology definitely needs to be fixed, because a lot of our businesses that we're creating now, while they're local businesses, they're also global business in the sense that our
So
clients are
technology, but
abroad.
I want to get from you, for the short space of time we have, a couple of things. Let's say the right ears in the government are listening.
They're listening.
What
We
what are what
definitely
what are a few things you think needs to be put in place?
A few things. We definitely need better internet broadband, 4G if possible, as soon as possible. In terms of the legal system, I mean, the government is trying at the moment in terms of clearing the backlog, appointing new magistrates. We definitely need to work on making the system much more efficient, and more access to justice, especially to poorer persons. I know new rules, for example, are coming. So I know there are a couple of areas that they're trying. So that's definitely the second one. And I think the big one for me, well, I would say big one, but important, is affordable financing, access to affordable financing for young entrepreneurs who want to start. Because a lot of us are taking our savings and pouring it into our businesses. But if we could find a way of doing or learning how to do better financial leverage, it will work for us.
Mm-hmm.
So technology, financing, and particularly for the legal system, definitely making it less time consuming and more efficient.
What is your deepest fear about doing business in Guyana as a young businesswoman?
Wow. My deepest fear. That's a challenging question. Um, I think my deepest fear in terms of doing business in Guyana is that that our policymakers will become overly selfish, and forget that the reason why they're appointed there is that it's to work for us, and so they make decisions consistently that don't benefit us in any way.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the abiding fears I have, that we get people who are so callous and uncaring about their people that the decisions they make, they don't stop to think about how it affects
If
a
you,
young person, or yeah.
sorry, Ayana, if you were to compare your stay in South Africa to being in Guyana right now, what are some stark contrasts that stand out?
Stark contrast. South Africa has its challenges, as we know. They're just coming to 20 plus years out of apartheid, so they have their own economic challenges. But South Africa is better than Guyana in many ways. The road network is definitely better. So in terms of the infrastructure, just getting anywhere to and fro from South Africa, that's definitely better. in terms of the technology, is definitely better. Economy-wise, as we know, South Africa is one of the largest economies in Africa and ranked highest in the world. So Guyana still has many ways to catch up with South Africa, but I'm not denying their challenges either. And I'm not saying that we're not, that, that there aren't great things about us. Guyana is a great place to do innovation and experimentation. And that's one of the reasons why I came back home to do business, because we're not jaded by our success. And I hope we never become jaded by our success. But also, I think even though we're a bit behind now, what we have the opportunity to do is learn from all the other economies and what they have failed at so that we can make it better.
What keeps you going when the challenges get overbearing?
Prayer, my faith in God.
If you could advise a group of young people for one or two books, if you could recommend one or two books for young people who are considering business and so on, what would you suggest?
I would definitely say read Sun Tzu, Art of War. I know that the title may sound frightening, but Sun Tzu, Art of War is about business strategy. I've read that. Deepak Chopra's The Seven Spiritual Laws of Success is definitely a great book because what it does is that it connects spirit, personal transformation, and how you apply it to your life daily. I've read so many books. I'm trying to think of a pure business one. I read a lot of personal development books. But basically just read everything you get. Jim Rohn. I'm reading a lot of stuff from Brad Sugars at the moment. So definitely read all the books you can. But Sun Tzu, Art of War, and
my favorite,
Deepak Chopra, Seven Spiritual Laws of Success are two I would definitely recommend.
Have you ever felt like quitting?
How many times? I told you I wanted to quit law. A couple of times, yes.
And what changed your mind?
Spirit, God, slaps me, slaps some good sense into me by showing me, a message always shows up or some person always shows up to remind me of how far God has brought me, to remind me not to give up.
Let me just get in this question from the chat room, Ayana. I'm sorry about that. But one can ask, how do you get most of your clients? And another person asks, I'm not sure I understand your service. Could you explain it a bit more? Are you selling to companies or individuals? Is it advisory or do you also litigate?
Yeah, we do both advice and litigation services. So in terms of how we get our clients, 90% of my clients at the moment are by referral. So what that means is I do good work for someone and they refer me to someone else. In terms of our services, we're particularly focused on areas, like I said, of business and corporate services. So if you're coming into Guyana to register and incorporate a company, I also do one of my primary areas of specialty is land law. That is a primary area of practice for me. And like I also said, we're just expanding into intellectual property law, of course, because it has connections to the business and corporate services side. And we do many other things in between. My practice is mainly focused on civil and commercial law. If I do have criminal matters, I refer that to my colleagues in the fraternity who, that is their area of expertise. So civil and commercial law, mainly focused on businesses, land, and we're doing IPL. We're growing into IPL.
Mm-hmm. What is one word advice you will give to another young person or other young people when it comes to becoming an entrepreneur?
If I had to give them one word, it would be courage. If I had to give them two words, it would be courageous. That's what's going to keep you in the business. Be courageous. And yeah, we know courage is not the absence of fear, is, being courageous in the midst of it. So I would definitely say one of the words would be courage. And if it's two, be courageous.
If you could turn the time or turn back time to when you first started, what would you do differently?
I would start McCalman and Company right out of law school.
You would do what?
I would start McCalman and Company right out of law school. I probably would have made a lot more money, but I respect the journey. So I know, all of I worked with the AG. I had the opportunity to work with youth fees and Stowey, and all of those years of experience is what allows me to sit here today. So I probably would do that differently, but then again, it would not, the life lessons, personal and in business that I've learned that I'm using now, I probably would not have learned them. So I'm grateful for the journey.
Last question in the chat room. Is Guyana, in your opinion, business friendly to expats?
It is. I would say yes. The challenge, though, is time. Unfortunately, a lot of things do take much longer to complete than people who live in North America or the US expect. But like I said, because I'm a solutions-oriented person, what I've been advising folks now, if you're coming home and you're an expat and you haven't lived here for a while, just walk with your solutions. Don't fret, don't fuss, walk with your solutions. And so if people try to generate problems for you, tell them this is what I want to get done and move through. But Ghana is definitely the place to be. Innovation in terms of experimentation and in terms of access to resources and great people, you definitely need to be here.
Ayana, thank you. Thank you
Thanks,
very
Howard.
much. Have a good evening.
Same to you. Take care.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.